The Cleveland Browns just gave us the most explosive quarterback controversy the NFL has seen in years. And no, we're not being dramatic. We're talking viral-level chaos, a practice field brawl, a viral Instagram live, and a locker room split so deep, it's already threatening to derail the entire season, before Week 1 even kicks off. What started as a routine training camp practice turned into an all-out war between rookie quarterbacks Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And by the end of it, one was being examined for a serious shoulder injury. The other was getting dragged by fans and media. And the entire Browns coaching staff was under fire. This isn't just bad, it's franchise-altering bad. And if you think this was just a heat-of-the-moment scuffle between two competitive rookies, you're dead wrong. Because what actually happened behind closed doors, what we now know from first-hand sources, coaches, and Sanders himself, reveals a level of deep dysfunction that traces all the way up to the front office. In this video, we're breaking it all down. The dangerous hit that lit the fuse. The fractured locker room with veterans choosing sides. Sanders' viral Instagram rant that exposed everything from coaching bias to team politics. And what this chaos means for the Browns. Future. Spoiler alert. It's not pretty. It all started on a Wednesday at the Browns training facility in Berea. Everything looked normal until it wasn't. Both rookie quarterbacks, third-rounder Dillon Gabriel and fifth-round pick Shedeur Sanders, yes, Deion Sanders' son, were working red zone drills with the second team. Veteran Joe Flacco had first-team reps. No surprises there. But under the surface, there was tension. The kind of tension everyone felt, but no one talked about. Gabriel, coming off a week of multiple interceptions, was visibly frustrated. Reports say he's felt his chances were slipping. And then came a rollout drill that would change everything. Shedeur, subbing in on scout team defense, was setting up to complete a pass when Gabriel came in with a dangerously late hit, directly to Shedeur's left shoulder. Not a bump, not a mistake. A hit so loud that it reportedly echoed across the entire facility. Sanders dropped to the turf, clutching his shoulder. And then, according to team insiders, Gabriel stood over him and barked. That's what happens when you think you're better than everyone else. Let that sink in. A third-round rookie cheap shots another QB, injures him, and then taunts him to his face while the entire team watches. And that's when the floodgates opened. Teammates rushed in from every corner of the field. Veteran linemen like Darwin Jones and Joel Bitonio, they didn't hesitate. They grabbed Gabriel and pulled him back, reportedly yelling, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Defensive players tried to play peacemaker, but the line had already been drawn. And by the time practice was shut down, the Browns didn't look like a team in training camp. They looked like a divided army walking off a battlefield. But if you thought that was bad, just wait. Because not even 2 hours later, Sanders took to Instagram Live and unleashed on the Browns organization in a way no rookie ever has. Arm in a sling, voice unwavering. And what he said sent NFL media, fans, and execs into a frenzy. This isn't about football anymore. This is about jealousy. This is about politics. And this is about an organization that doesn't know how to protect its own players. Sanders didn't just go after Gabriel. He called out the entire coaching staff, accusing them of ignoring weeks of growing tension, playing favorites, and letting the situation spiral until it left a competitor injured. By the time Sanders ended his live stream, #ProtectShedeur was trending. NFL insiders were weighing in, and Cleveland's quarterback competition had officially morphed into a full-blown culture crisis. What happened next would only make things worse. As injuries set in, suspensions come into play, and veterans begin to pick sides publicly. The Browns, once hoping to groom a new franchise QB from this crop, now face a very different situation. Ruined chemistry, media chaos, fan outrage, and only one healthy quarterback left standing. We've got every detail. This isn't just a quarterback battle. It's a warning sign, of what happens when a franchise builds without structure, pits its players against each other, and then walks away when it gets messy. And now, the question isn't just who should start, it's can the Browns recover from this at all? Let's break down exactly what happened, the fallouts, and why this may go down as one of the worst managed quarterback controversies in NFL history. Every NFL training camp has scuffles, pushing, some yelling, maybe a little shoving between teammates. But what happened in Berea on Wednesday wasn't just a scuffle. It was a literal explosion. And it all started with one hit that should have never happened. During an 11-on-11 red zone drill, both Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel were working with the second-team offense. Joe Flacco, the 40-year-old veteran, was taking first-team reps like expected. But for the two rookies, these reps mattered. Gabriel was already on edge. He'd just come off a brutal week riddled with interceptions, and according to team insiders, he was visibly frustrated about losing reps to Sanders, especially given he was taken in the 3rd round, while Shedeur had slipped to the 5th. Then came the moment that flipped the switch. Gabriel was mid-rollout on a routine play when Sanders, acting as a scout team defender, moved into cover. Nothing unusual, just part of the drill. But after the snap, Gabriel turned and delivered a late, completely unnecessary shoulder hit directly into Shedeur's throwing arm. The sound echoed across the field. The crack was loud enough that nearby coaches and players paused mid-drill. Sanders hit the ground immediately, clutching his left shoulder in obvious pain. But Gabriel didn't help him up. He didn't apologize. He stood over Sanders and said loud enough for teammates to hear, "That's what happens when you think you're better than everybody else." And that's when the field erupted. Offensive linemen who had been blocking respectfully just seconds earlier charged across the line. Veteran left tackle Darwin Jones reportedly grabbed Gabriel by the jersey, pulling him away while shouting, "What the hell is wrong with you?" All-Pro guard Joel Bitonio rushed in behind him. Several other players had to step in to prevent things from getting even uglier. On the other side of the ball, defenders like Myles Garrett and Jordan Hicks moved in to separate everyone, playing peacekeepers as emotions boiled over. But here's the thing, it wasn't just teammates stepping in, they were taking sides. Players weren't split evenly. There were stares, silence, conversations behind hands and under helmets. One source inside the organization said, "You could feel it immediately." Guys were literally looking at each other like, "Which side are you on?" They weren't talking about offense versus defense. They were talking about Shedeur versus Gabriel. The fight may have ended in a few minutes, but the damage to the locker room, that's gonna last a lot longer. And what happened after practice, when Sanders turned to social media, would throw gasoline on an already burning fire. If the hit itself was the spark, what happened next was the explosion. Because as Shedeur Sanders lay on the turf clutching his shoulder, the Browns locker room didn't just surround him in support. It divided. Instantly, visibly, and maybe irreversibly. We're not just talking about players trying to de-escalate. We're talking about players choosing sides, drawing lines, and making statements with their reactions. That division started up front, with the offensive line, the bruisers, the guys who protect quarterbacks for a living. They didn't hesitate. Veteran tackle Darwin Jones was reportedly one of the first to get in Gabriel's face, physically pulling him back after the hit, and screaming, "What the hell is wrong with you?" He wasn't alone. All-Pro guard Joel Bitonio, one of the longest tenured and most respected players in the building, didn't just defend Sanders. Sources say he was fuming at Gabriel and vocal about it. "The big uglies love Shedeur," one insider said. "He earns their respect. He competes without complaining. When Gabriel hit him cheap like that, they weren't going to stand by." That response from the line, that's everything. Because in NFL culture, quarterbacks live and die by their linemen's loyalty. The defense responded differently, trying to prevent the brawl from escalating, But don't mistake calm for consent. Myles Garrett, the team's emotional leader, and linebacker Jordan Hicks stepped in to keep peace during the chaos. But inside sources say that even they were concerned, not just about the injury, but about the psychological fallout. They pulled guys apart, one source said. But you could tell, Myles was watching everything, trying to gauge just how deep the damage went. It wasn't just a flare-up. This felt like a war starting. What shocked some players even more? The receivers' reactions. Several skill position vets, including Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, reportedly didn't rush to back Shedeur. Instead, they showed sympathy for Gabriel, who, to be fair, has been getting ripped apart in media and practice throughout camp. Some of the receivers understand the pressure Dillon's under, one team insider said. They're not condoning what happened, but they also know what it feels like to get booed, to get doubted, to see yourself slipping. But no matter side or sympathy, every player felt the shift. One veteran staffer summed it all up. This wasn't a next man up kind of moment. This was everyone asking themselves, who's my guy? And the coaching staff? They were just as stunned as the players, maybe more, because what they did or didn't do next will define this franchise all season. If the Browns thought shutting down practice was going to help cool things off, they couldn't have been more wrong. Because barely 2 hours after the incident, Shedeur Sanders went live on Instagram, and what he said didn't just pour gasoline on the fire, it launched this story into the stratosphere. Arm in a black sling, eyes locked on the camera, voice calm, but clearly burning with frustration. Shedeur didn't hold anything back. "Y'all want the real story?" he said, looking dead into the lens. "This isn't about football anymore. This is about jealousy. This is about politics. And this is about an organization that doesn't know how to protect its own players." Just like that, the internet exploded. What had been whispers of internal controversy instantly became the NFL's biggest headline. And Shedeur didn't stop there. He went straight at Dillon Gabriel, accusing him of being bitter from day one. "Third round versus fifth round. That's all he cares about," Sanders said. But guess what? Draft position don't mean a damn thing when you can't perform when it matters. Bam! A direct shot on a public live stream by a rookie quarterback calling out his teammate and the team's draft philosophy. But the most damning part wasn't about Gabriel. It was about the coaches. Shedeur claimed the staff saw it coming. They knew he was frustrated. They saw it all camp, and they let it slide until I got hurt. That's not leadership, that's cowardice. Within 1 hour, his live had over 2 million views. Within 2 hours, the hashtag #ProtectShedeur was trending nationwide. And within 4, analysts, former players, journalists, and fans were all choosing sides. The viral clip wasn't just raw, it was strategic. Sanders didn't rant. He delivered a controlled message with receipts, quotes, and intent. He took ownership of his injury. But he made it very clear who he blamed and why. The social media post sent a wave through the NFL that coaches fear most: public division, internal problems laid bare, authority questioned openly. One team source said, "He didn't just break the story, he flipped the power dynamic. Right now, Shedeur's not just a player, he's a movement. And for a franchise that's already been under the microscope for years, this was the last thing they needed." Next, we uncover why this moment was months in the making, and how tensions between Sanders and Gabriel were reportedly brewing from the very first day of camp. This blow-up didn't come out of nowhere. It was months in the making. To understand how we got to a full-blown quarterback brawl in training camp, we have to rewind to April, specifically the 2025 NFL Draft. The Browns were already in quarterback limbo. Deshaun Watson, out for the season with a second Achilles injury. The $230 million gamble had officially blown up. So, the front office scrambled, signing Joe Flacco as a stopgap, trading for Kenny Pickett, and then double-dipping in the draft. And that's where the real tension began. In the third round, Cleveland shocked insiders by selecting Dillon Gabriel out of Oregon, an undersized but prolific passer who broke college records but raised serious questions about his NFL ceiling. Then, just 2 rounds later, the Browns traded up to grab Shedeur Sanders, the son of Pro Football Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, a quarterback many scouts had graded as a potential first-round talent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Browns didn't just want depth, they wanted competition, but they also invited chaos. Sources say Gabriel came in expecting to be the clear favorite, higher pick, more production, more polish. But then came the practices, the 7-on-7s, the red zone drills. And Shedeur? He wasn't just keeping up, he was outplaying him. You could see it from day one, one insider said. Gabriel was pressing. Sanders was just playing. During joint practices with the Carolina Panthers, the gap started becoming obvious. Gabriel threw 2 picks in one day. Sanders reportedly picked apart the defense. That's when it shifted. Veterans started talking. Coaches started watching. And Gabriel? His body language changed. So did his demeanor. He expected to win the job, said one source. And when it didn't happen, you could see it building, week by week, rep by rep. To make things worse, offensive coordinator Tommy Rees was said to be giving Gabriel more time in installation meetings, feeding into the perception of favoritism. Sanders, meanwhile, just kept grinding. 5th-round chip on his shoulder. Nothing handed to him. Everything earned. So by the time Wednesday's hit happened, the tension wasn't just present, it was boiling. And instead of diffusing it, the coaching staff, they let it simmer. The result? A fractured quarterback room, a viral rant, and 2 rookie QBs who were never built to share a foxhole. But the worst part was still to come. Sanders' injury, and what it means for the future of the Browns season. At first, it looked like a standard late hit. Brutal, sure, but nothing career-ending. Then, Shedeur Sanders didn't get up. He rolled on the turf, clutching his left shoulder, face twisted in pain. Staff rushed to help. The practice field went silent, and whatever fractured energy was left in the locker room vanished. According to multiple sources, Sanders was taken immediately for X-rays and an MRI. And what they found wasn't great. It's not season-ending, but it's not nothing either, said one team insider. There's definitely structural damage. Initial reports suggest significant inflammation and possible ligament strain in the shoulder, an injury that could sideline him for multiple weeks during the most crucial window of training camp and preseason. For Sanders, who was gaining clear momentum in the QB race, this couldn't have come at a worse time. Remember, Kenny Pickett is already nursing a hamstring injury, so with Sanders likely out and Pickett limited, the Browns are suddenly down to Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel, a 40-year-old vet and a rookie teetering on the edge of suspension. And that's the second part of the disaster. While Sanders was getting scanned, Gabriel reportedly remained in the facility, but isolated. Multiple sources say the coaching staff was livid behind closed doors, and discussions about punishment went into immediate motion. Fines and suspensions are on the table. Even a potential release, which would be unheard of for a 3rd-round rookie just weeks into training camp. They can't let him skate on this, one source said. It sends the wrong message to the locker room and the fans. But there's real tension inside the building between public accountability and private investment. Gabriel was a 3rd-round pick. Releasing him would be a public admission of failure by the front office. But if they keep him with no consequences, they risk setting fire to whatever credibility Kevin Stefanski still has. And hovering over everything is the real nightmare. What if Sanders can't get his job back when he returns? If Flacco holds the spot and Pickett gets healthy, will Shedeur have a real shot after the dust settles? The quarterback competition is no longer a competition, a source close to the team said. It's full-on damage control mode. From a 4-man battle to a shredded depth chart. In less than 24 hours, the Browns' entire quarterback plan has been torn apart, physically, emotionally, and publicly. And now, under national media pressure, angry fan backlash, and locker room uncertainty, the coaching staff finally faces the storm they didn't stop when they had the chance. If the practice field firestorm fractured the Browns internally, what happened next set the entire NFL world ablaze. Within hours of Shedeur Sanders' viral Instagram Live, the national media had its hooks in the story, and the Browns were suddenly the center of a non-stop PR disaster. Every major network ran with it: ESPN, Fox, NFL Network. Stories of locker room dysfunction, quarterback brawls, and Sanders' accusations were everywhere. And the tone? Absolutely brutal. On First Take, Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back. This is exactly why I've been calling the Browns a dysfunctional mess. You draft two rookie quarterbacks, pit them against each other, then act shocked when it explodes? Dillon Gabriel should be suspended immediately, and Kevin Stefanski should be ashamed this was allowed to happen. Over on Undisputed, Shannon Sharpe followed up with ... What Gabriel did wasn't just unprofessional, it was dangerous. You'll cheap shot your own QB because you're insecure. That's not football. That's a locker room cancer. The message was clear across sports shows, podcasts, and social media. Gabriel crossed a line, and the Browns let him. But if the media was loud, the Browns fan base was louder. Within hours, the hashtag #ProtectShedeur trended across X, formerly Twitter. Influential Browns fan accounts, many with tens of thousands of followers, openly called for Gabriel's suspension or release. Shedeur Sanders represents everything this city wants in a QB: toughness, leadership, professionalism. And this coaching staff just let him get attacked in plain sight. One tweet read, racking up over 80,000 likes. Cleveland fan podcasts fired up emergency shows. YouTube creators who normally talk X's and O's were suddenly breaking down locker room leadership dynamics and posting entire episodes devoted to the quarterback crisis in Cleveland. The lines were drawn. Fans weren't just mad, they were embellished. Years of quarterback instability, broken promises, and underperformance. And now this might be our rock bottom, one Browns Reddit moderator wrote. And that's saying something. Even former Browns players started weighing in. Bernie Kosar said it best on local radio. I've seen heated quarterback competitions before, but this is a meltdown. If the Browns don't make a statement, they're gonna lose the locker room and the support of this city. And right now, it's looking like both are slipping away fast. Next, we dive into what the front office is actually doing behind the scenes, including serious conversations about Gabriel's future, Stefanski's credibility, and a quarterback battle that now looks more like a lose-lose war. As the media storm intensified and the fan base turned hostile, one question echoed through Cleveland. Where is the leadership? Because while Shedeur's shoulder was being scanned and Gabriel's future was debated by sports pundits nationwide, all eyes turned to the man supposed to keep this ship afloat, head coach Kevin Stefanski. And according to multiple sources inside the Browns facility, he looked completely blindsided. Attendees at Wednesday's practice said Stefanski ended the session immediately after the brawl, something that hadn't happened in years of Browns training camps. He looked like he'd seen a ghost, one witness said, like he had no idea this was coming and couldn't believe it happened under his watch. And that's exactly the problem, because while Stefanski built his reputation on maintaining locker room culture and letting competition bring out the best in players, this episode has shown the exact opposite. Multiple insiders now say Gabriel and Sanders' tension had been obvious for weeks. Coaches heard the chirping, saw the body language, and watched the reps become more emotionally charged by the day. You could feel it brewing, one team source explained. The staff kept saying it would sort itself out, but it never did. Instead of managing egos, Stefanski's staff, particularly offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, reportedly chose to favor Gabriel early in camp. Rees was said to be giving Dillon longer sessions during install periods and spending more time coaching him one-on-one after practice. Sanders noticed, so did the team. It wasn't about ability by then, one player said. It felt political. Now, with the quarterback room spiraling, Stefanski is under pressure from both above and below. Owner Ginny Haslam is reportedly furious at how things escalated and has demanded answers fast. The locker room is watching to see if Gabriel gets punished fairly. The media is speculating whether Stefanski even makes it to week 1 if the chaos continues. And Gabriel? His fate rides on what Stefanski does next. Insiders say the disciplinary options are on the table, from a hefty fine and counseling to a multi-practice suspension or even release. But here's the dilemma. Do you protect the draft investment or preserve your locker room culture? Because sticking with Gabriel sends one message. Cutting him sends another. And if Stefanski chooses wrong, he might lose more than a game. He might lose the team. In the next section, we dig into where the Browns go from here and how this train wreck of a quarterback battle has completely rewritten their 2025 season plans. What started as a fierce quarterback competition at Browns camp has devolved into a chaotic scramble for survival. 2 weeks ago, the Browns had what fans believed was a smart, forward-looking plan. Build quarterback depth. Let the veterans stabilize the ship. Let the two rookies battle it out, grow, and push each other. Simple, right? Now, that plan is in ruins. Here's what the Browns are facing. Shedeur Sanders, the most talented and popular rookie QB on the roster, is now sidelined with a shoulder injury that could knock him out for most or all of the preseason. Dillon Gabriel, the other rookie in the competition, is hanging by a thread amid disciplinary talks, a broken locker room, and national backlash. Kenny Pickett is still slowed by a nagging hamstring problem and hasn't impressed even when healthy. Joe Flacco, the 40-year-old veteran, now finds himself as the team's only stable, healthy option. Let that sink in. A planned 4-man quarterback rotation designed to foster competition and build the future has turned into a patchwork mess, held together by experience, injury reports, and public relations damage control. This was supposed to be Shedeur's moment, one team insider said. He was gaining confidence, momentum, locker room support, and now he's watching from the sidelines while the team tries to avoid total collapse. Meanwhile, the coaching staff has completely shifted priorities. Sources say plans to evaluate all 4 quarterbacks during the preseason are now off the table. The new focus? Just getting through it without more chaos. We're no longer choosing the best guy, one source explained. We're choosing the one who can calm the noise and keep things from falling apart. And that's a massive problem. Because when stability becomes more important than performance, upside dies. Sanders may have won this QB battle before it even officially started. But now his injury delays his development. And Gabriel? Even if he avoids suspension, his trust inside the locker room might be shattered beyond repair. The Browns didn't just lose tempo, they lost control. This isn't about who's QB1 anymore, a former player said. This is about how Cleveland is going to survive what comes next, without losing the team, the fan base, and possibly the head coach. And that's why the fallout has only just begun. When the dust finally settles, this won't just be remembered as a training camp scuffle. It will be remembered as the exact moment the Browns lost control of their future. This wasn't about a third-round draft pick getting frustrated. It wasn't just a rookie QB going live on Instagram with a banged-up shoulder. This was about years of dysfunction, crashing headfirst into a leadership vacuum and exploding in full view of the entire league. That's what makes this moment so significant. Cleveland fans have seen drama before. They've lived through bust quarterbacks, poor coaching hires, locker room tension, losing seasons, and empty promises. But this feels different, because for the first time in years, the Browns were building something that, on paper, made sense. A loaded defense, smart veteran signings, a fresh injection of talent at the quarterback position, and then it imploded. The locker room is fractured. Players are choosing sides. Trust is broken, morale is low, and the quarterback room, which every successful team is built around, is toxic. Worse yet, the coaching staff has lost the benefit of the doubt. This was avoidable. One league exec said, if Cleveland had real structure and accountability in place, they'd still have a competition. Instead, they have a crisis. And the implications stretch far beyond this preseason, because the Browns didn't just gamble and lose a few reps. They may have compromised the development of their most promising young quarterback, damaged the mental foundation of their team, and created a public spectacle that won't go away anytime soon. The NFL world watched it unfold in real time. Fans chose their side. Former players called out the cowardice. Media outlets questioned the credibility of everyone involved. And through it all, Shedeur Sanders became more than just a fifth-round pick. He became a symbol of raw talent, fearlessness, and the unwillingness to stay silent. Whether you agree with his decision to speak out or not, he changed the narrative. Now the question becomes, can the Browns recover? Can Kevin Stefanski survive this? Can Dillon Gabriel earn back trust if he's even kept on the roster? And most importantly, who's really leading this team? Because it sure doesn't feel like anyone is. Now we want to hear from you. Should Dillon Gabriel be suspended or cut altogether? Was Shedeur Sanders right to go public with his side? And has the Browns organization hit a new low? Drop your take in the comments below. Let's talk. This isn't just a preseason story. This is a glimpse at everything wrong and possibly everything right about modern football culture.